Hello, everybody. It's Thursday.
Oh gosh, I don't even have us up here on the.
We're gonna get the thought and soon here. Soon. Yeah, you gotta read chat and stuff, lady.
No, I don't.
She's got her dingy bell on today. It's driving me crazy.
I told her she'd get over it.
I would like to know how many people are for or against the dingy bell. She says there are people that like it.
Yeah, somebody actually told me that.
Well, it's because they really like you.
They're blowing smoke.
Blowing smoke.
Hey, just continue. I'm liking it.
She likes smoke blowing, y'all.
Makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
I told her that, okay, hey, 5 minutes. Hey, we're going live.
I know, but I'm really into what I'm doing.
She's into it. All right, guys, it's Thursday. That means we will be thoughting here in just a moment. But before we get all started with that business, please like it.
Thoughty.
Please like this stream. That's a little, there's a thumbsy upsy button. Click that button. You are blown out. See, this is the first time she looked up at me. So, I'm just,
That one right there is not a good color for me.
Well, it is actually. See there, that's a little better. We got 3 lights on her.
Oh, no, it's a contrast. I'm wearing all my. I'll talk about my outfit here in a minute. It's part of the gig today.
Did you steal that skull scarf out of Izzy's room?
What?
Was that Izzy's skull? Her pirate scarf.
Yeah.
Okay, thumbsy upsies. Like it, love it, share it with some friends. It's also how we know that you're here. We like to know that you were here. So if you say hello in the chat, that's how we know. And I'm about to say hello to y'all because of that. Going to. I'm holding it together, y'all. Lucy's here. Acme. Anthony Cody. He's gonna be featured today, I believe.
He certainly is.
Stick around, Anthony. Adrian and Wright. Hello, Ann. That's Ann from Illinois. Me thinks. A seminal mind, that is Sue. Carrie Griffiths is Carrie the Crafter. Going to be featuring him a little bit today too. He may not have even known that. In fact, I'm quite sure that he didn't. Cookie Wookie, that's Mo. Dawn is here. Donna. Ooh. Dawn. Denise just popped in there. Dorothy. Eddie. He's the king of the nerd. Goodness, this thing's moving on me today.
I'm gonna move my stuff a little closer so I don't have to
see,
get up
and
grab it.
This, where the screen is at and how I need to see things is like this. That's not a very good look.
No.
But it sure does help me see things. Graham's here. Griffin, Shell, that's Rhonda, Jeanette, Justin, Joanne, Carla, Keeks Hunt, that's Keisha, Lorraine, Lydia, Margaret. Yes. Marguerite is what I wanted to say, but it's Margaret. Nancy Lee, Patty C, Panka, Rosemary, because we got Rosemary Henny and Rosemary Staten. Seabasket, that's Cheryl. Simply Lizette, that's Lizette. Slapping paint on paper, that is Karen. Star Traveler, that's Linda. SWL, that's Sherry. Tammy, Paper Nest, hello and welcome. Taken, she's the bookmaker if you didn't know that. The Shelley Studio, that is Margot. Tina, Zao, how? See? Zao, how? Zany, that's Bobby. And I think some other folks popped in there. Give me some extra pinky hello hands. I will get you hello, like Julie Parker and Darcy. And Michelle with 1 L. Shauna. Kathy. Hello. Hey, Angie. All right, got Shauna and then Lynn. I'm assuming because it's S. Lynn, but I would assume it's just Lynn, unless you're Slynn. Could be. Hello, Monica. All right, my Arty friends.
She might be Susie.
Gray. Hello.
Susie Land.
Maybe she's are you Susie Land? Could be. All right. It is getting towards the end of the month. I just want to let y'all know that we are hard at work behind the scenes here. And just know that we're hard at work. Trying to get this, some site things worked out, get all the things cut. Actually, everything's cut, photographed. Who's it? What's it? I mean, I'm
I saw some
fingers crossed that everything's gonna go on lunch
Saw
on
some of
Sunday.
the new stamps.
That's all I'm just going to say about that, because, you know, they're just some little things that are out of our control. Technology, y'all.
Yeah. Amongst other things.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is I will be, oh my gosh, hold on, I got to message my husband about something real quick. Where's my messaging thing? 1 second, y'all. You want to tell him what we're doing while I'm messaging?
Sure. Okay. So basically, you know, Thursday's kind of dedicated. We're going to have thoughts, and then we're going to get into some artwork. And I'm hoping that maybe at some point here we can get into some artwork, but I don't know how long we're going to get into this, and I don't know what your feelings, because that's going to be part of the driving force here. Because I really, you know, I very much dislike people telling me things that I could read about. But I'm hoping I'm going to read enough little bits and portions that you're going to want to go back and you're going to get yourself a copy of this book.
This is like when you go to Costco and they give you little samples. She can give you little samples, and then you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm going to the freezer and buying some of that.
Yeah, yummy, yum. Mm-hmm. And I have my paper clips here, and
it is Slyn. Is that right?
Slyn?
Slyn. Oh, Susan Lynn, I know you already have a Susan here. Okay, so Slyn is behind.
Wow.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That is sweet.
We can call you Susan Lynn. We can remember that. We're from the South here.
Yeah.
2 names is
everybody has.
Yeah.
My Trisha Rai.
We're not telling what mine used to be. I'm Mariah Scott. Rushing.
Okay. Anyhow, Marsha Markle said that paper clips were another form of
they are
resistance, and I wanted to know if she was referring to my stash here.
She's God. Look at her. She's gonna pull it all down.
My stash here, or Mariah. Somebody sent us these.
They did,
and I don't know who did.
We love them.
We love them. I use them all the time.
Oh, they're all over the place around here. I mean,
I used one today, but I've got a whole idea on how to use these to make them into.
Here, you should give me one of the
protest art.
Yeah, give me one that goes with my outfit here. I don't know if you want the gold one, because that's a little too much gold. Unless I wore it right here, but then I don't know if it's gonna poke me.
Well, I got some ideas on how to do this, and I can't get you one off there because it's going to take too much.
It's complicated for her.
It's too complicated.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it is. But I've got some ideas on how to do this, and maybe we'll talk about that on Sunday. Is that our next day that what's today?
It is our next day, and hopefully we're launching. I just want to kind of give some of y'all a little, most likely everything's going to be fine.
What are you talking about?
Well, we're moving servers.
Oh,
and it's like, you know, they say it's going to go smoothly, and then, you know, all of a sudden,
and then there's all this other BS that comes
and we don't want to put a bunch of things into the old site and then lose the things that we've already done.
True that.
Because we've been there and done that.
Okay, so
this isn't our first rodeo. That's why we're like trying to, you know, plan ahead.
Basically, I'm just going to show you. I got to show you this because I told Izzy I would, and it just makes me crack up here.
Oh, Robin says
her hair.
There's a super cute pic of a fish in the newest.
I don't have. Catalog. I keep thinking I've got the.
Oh, the top. You want topside real quick? Oh no, you can't have topside. Okay, that's the whole thing. I'm gonna be doing things, and she's gonna be talking about things. You ready?
Yes. Well, here. I want you to show Izzy's.
Oh, gosh. I tell you, she is obsessed.
And then how am I going to show my stuff?
Well, I guess you got to hand it over here like I usually do with you, and you know.
Well, I don't know if you're going to show it properly.
Well, we'll see if we get her done right.
All right.
You know.
I'm handing that across because, and I'm.
You ready for me to go topside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Get after it.
Get after it. Okay. Top view main. There we go.
And
this camera's being weird because I did an update on the phone. And it seems to be, I don't know, it's doing things. that I didn't.
You know, I'm not. I do have Keith Self's address.
Yeah.
I have his Washington address, his Collin County, and his Hunt County.
Mhm.
Why is his in Hunt County?
Well,
Because that's part of the district.
Right, because it runs, and it may even extend further now that they've redrawn the lines.
But he just has offices in those places. Well, I've got 3 cards for Mr. Keith Self. Mariah's gonna show you some of my.
It's like, I don't know, that thing is just weird.
I'm still waiting. I'm frozen over here. I'm not moving.
Well, that's you, because I'm seeing it over here, so you may want to
What, update or
reacquaint yourself
with my computer? Oh,
These
no.
are the cute little Izzy things she was talking about. So she draws the hair, and she wants you to pick these characters and such.
And, yeah, and she wanted to know. And my favorite hair is the pink and green one.
Yeah, pink and green.
Shocker. Yeah, if I had
Mhm.
long hair, I'd do that in the New York minute.
Hello, Martha.
Okay.
Oh, and then here's Peace. She's already got some. She's sending them original art. She said it was a mess up, but I guess that's right. It is being super glitchy. Don't love that, but I don't know what to do about it right now at this moment in time.
And I'm using those colors because they're
you know what? Hold on. I might be able to fix that.
they're
Let's just-
colors from Nazi Germany. Preferred colors: red, black, and white.
Yeah. Thought that they might, feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but we're
what's
going to
going
talk
on.
about. We don't even have to make comparisons to Nazi Germany. We just have to make comparisons to us.
Yes.
And I'm fixing to read you some of that
Did
today.
you? Yeah. Did you see I sent you the little picture thing, right, or whatever, didn't I? Here's the deal.
Yes, we need to put that in makers. That just
Well, I
really
want to
says
make.
it all.
I know, but I want to make it like
Oh,
it's
cute,
just kind of
cute,
like
yeah.
a blog. It's just a written post
Yeah,
thing, but
yeah.
we need to art it up.
Jazz it up a bit. All right. Well, one of the things that I watched the other day as I was working on my postcards, kind of a good thing to do, and I think it's a really good thing to do that we're working on Mariah's
The fish book.
the fish book. The same time I'm reading you stuff out of the People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn.
And we're gonna
It's
make
in
a
its
scene today.
35th edition.
Like multiple ways we are making a scene.
Okay,
I love this.
now before I get
talk
into
about
that, my reading over here, I want to tell Mariah what I discovered last night.
What'd you discover?
Because I haven't had a chance to talk to her.
Oh. What is this?
It's painting.
Ooh.
Painting on the, and I know that's not, but what I'm saying is it can be done, and what I
Hi,
want,
Joni. Hey, Ellen.
want to do is, and Izzy came up
Hey,
when I
Lara.
was doing it, and I said, well, what does this make you think about, Izzy? And she said, bones, Gigi.
Kinda, yeah.
Then she said, maybe a turtle.
Yeah.
But she went back and her
It's very
last-
fossil-like to me.
kind of, yeah. I think that's what she meant when she said, old bones.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Which I have old,
Not just,
old
like
bones,
old
and I
people.
have an old bone in my knee that didn't
I'll tell you when it
hurt
started.
and hurt and hurt.
Yeah, when it
last
started
night,
getting
that-
cold, there was, my niece said the same thing.
Yeah, I had to
Hello, Joanne.
smell the tiger balm.
Hello, Carol
Hey.
Buckingham.
Okay. Anyway, what this technique here, one of the things that I thought would be great for Mariah's fishes, if she didn't want to have her message or facts or whatever she's doing so blatantly out there, because sometimes the pictorial aspect of it is quite lovely, and it's a shame to cover it up with other things.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking, Mariah, is I could paint you seashells that you could hinge and put your message so it would flop up and down on the seashell. Use the seashell as your little
I don't know that I like this down here. Maybe I just need to.
you know what I mean?
Okay, we need to talk about that a second, a little bit more. Hello, Lee.
Okay.
On this particular spread, or
No, don't.
Okay.
Just anytime.
okay? Oh,
As-
then
as
yeah,
a-
definitely. I was like, I just was trying to fit
No, because
that into
I don't
the
really think that. I think that you're going to have a cover.
right.
That's-
Those colors would also fight with what I got going on here.
Oh, that's not it anyway. I will make
Just the technique.
the technique of doing that and making you a clamshell.
Oh, I think I need some of those. Yeah, I've thought about that a few times actually in here.
And actually, that you could have it just be where it flip down the messages on the backside.
Yeah, just kind of,
Yeah.
almost that feeling,
Yes. Of clamminess.
clamminess.
Clamminess. All right. Somebody I want you to look up and watch. And I will just tell you before you get over there. He's dry as unbuttered toast. But he's got the info. And he has the insights. And he makes connections. His name is Tom Hartman. And that's THOM.
Here, let me have your little thing here. There you go.
You've got on some mighty fine bracelets today,
I do.
Mariah.
And I'm sorry,
Did
I
you
don't know
wanna
why
talk about those?
this tracking is. I updated the phone, and seriously, it's being a little weird with the whole camera business. I may need to. It may needed to like a little restart, but I didn't get that far. And we're not doing that during the live stream. That's just woo.
Yeah. Well, I
Had enough of my techie issues.
okay. All right. So I don't know that there's anyone out there that doesn't know who Howard Zinn is, but I'm going to read you about the little thing on the back here.
Okay, here, let me show that. There we go.
And I want you to know right now, I do not just sit down and read this cover to cover. That is not how I do it.
I
I use the index here.
I think Sherry's been.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly you can.
It's being weird, right? It's glitchy. It's right here. I don't know. Okay, let's do this. Hold on. I got you. Yeah, hold on. Here, we're going to go side by side. And then P can talk. And then I'm going to mess with this thing.
Okay, so I'm going to read you. This is about the author. And he must have okayed this because it's the back of his book here. And I'm assuming that, he had something to do with that. Howard Zinn was born in 1922. And he died in 2010. He was a historian, playwright, and activist. He wrote the classic A People's History of the United States. Quote, a brilliant and moving history of the American people from the point of view of those whose plight has largely been omitted from most histories. And that quote is from the Library Journal. The book, which has sold more than 2 million copies, and this is the 35th, edition that I have here. I had the original one, but I don't know what happened to it. It got away from me. The book, which has sold more than 2 million copies, has been featured on The Sopranos and The Simpsons, and in the film Good Will Hunting. In 2009, the History Channel aired The People Speak, an acclaimed documentary co-directed by Zinn, based on A People's History, and a companion volume, Voices of A People's History of the United States. Zinn grew up in Brooklyn in a working-class immigrant household. At 18, he became a shipyard worker and then flew bomber missions during World War II. These experiences helped shape his opposition to war and passion for history. After attending college under the GI Bill and earning a PhD in history from Columbia, he taught at Spelman College, where he became active in the civil rights movement.
Yeah, that's better. After
being fired by Spelman for his support for student protesters, Zinn became a professor of political science at Boston University, where he taught until his retirement in 1988. Zinn was the author of many books, including an autobiography of You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train, the play, Marx in Soho, and Passionate Declarations. He received the Lannan Foundation Literary Award for nonfiction and the Eugene V. Debs Award for his writing and political activism. he's a very fascinating person, and he's funny. Go watch some of the interviews. Just Google them on the
Google
thing.
them. Just
Google them.
Get on that Googler.
And it, yeah, okay. Basically, what got me started on all this, and what I wanted to be able. I knew enough about it that I knew I wanted to know more, and I wished I had that Neil deGrasse Tyson quote about knowing just enough to want to know what you don't know. That's where I am with this. That's my impetus in finding things here. I want to read you the beginning of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, okay, hold on.
What?
Pull your mic just a little bit down closer to you.
That's as close as it gets. Unless I want to...
Was that better? Well, and you got your big brim hat on, that always... And when you look down and talk, that's always tricky.
Just a minute. I'm not going to pull on it.
We're doing all kinds of moving about the studio today, aren't we? There you go. Yeah, see, we have to watch out because there's so much tension on the arm. The whole place could come down.
It really honestly could.
There you go.
Okay. So I thought that, the Declaration of Independence is important because that tells you why. Some whys here. It's got some good words in it for us here. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created. You notice they're still saying men here. And
that's okay.
We just go ahead and put women in there automatically, right? Are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed.
That would be us.
And that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of, and that's in capital letters, right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. Okay, that is on page 71. If you want to go in and read all of the leading up to that business right there. Okay. The other thing I thought, because this is what we're really dealing with right now, is we're dealing with how our government...
Ellen B. said that she had a friend that was a student in Howard Zinn's class in Boston. They've been reading that book for years.
Wonderful. I love that. And here's Ralph Waldo Emerson describing the rich of Boston. I really, honestly, that worked really well. Ralph Waldo Emerson described Boston in those years, and these years that we're talking about were the years of Beacon Hill, 18... I don't know. I'm guessing it's early 19th century. I know kind of. It's page 121. Quote, there's a certain poor smell in all the streets in Beacon Hill and Mount Vernon, as well as in the lawyer's office and the wharves, and the same meanness and sterility, and leave all hope behind, as one finds in a boot manufacturer's premises. End quote. The preacher Theodore Parker told his congregation, money in this day is the strongest power of the nation. This was a letter written by a young shoemaker. Pardon me. In 1827. And it was just, I'm not sure where he found this, but anyway, he finds these original documents.
Who's he?
Howard Zinn.
Okay.
And includes them in his book.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
All right. Here's the young shoemaker who said, we find ourselves oppressed on every hand. We labor hard in producing all the comforts of our life for the enjoyment of others. while we ourselves obtain but a scanty portion. And even that, in the present state of society, depends on the will of the employers. Now, why did I read you that? Because right now, who's running the United States of America is the corporations. I want you to know that. And I know a lot of you already know that. But it doesn't hurt to hear it again. It isn't the people in Congress. It isn't the orange man in the White House. It isn't even his little Nazi Mussolini-clad Stephen Miller. It's the rich people. I think this is a quote. Now, I just threw this in because it was good for some chuckles and grins here on, feminism didn't come about just in the 21st century. Frances Wright of Scotland, an early feminist and utopian socialist, this is back when that was acceptable, was invited by Philadelphia working men to speak on the 4th of July, 1829, to one of the first citywide associations of labor unions in the United States. She asked if the revolution, that was the one that I read you the declaration back there, had been fought, quote, to crush down the sons and daughters of your country's industry under, ellipse, neglect, poverty, vice, starvation, and disease, ellipse, end quote. She wondered if the new technology was not lowering the value of human labor, making people appendages to machines, crippling the minds and bodies of child laborers. Still legal to put them in the working in the factories. Later that year, George Henry Evans, a printer, editor of the Working Man's Advocate, wrote, quote, the working men's declarations of independence, among its lists of facts, quote, submitted to, quote, candid and impartial, end quote, fellow citizens. 1. The laws for levying taxes are operating most oppressively on one class of society. 3. These are not necessarily in, there's an ellipse there, some are not. The laws for private incorporations are all partial, favoring one class of society to the expense of the other. 6. The laws, ellipse, have deprived 9/10 of the members of the body of politics who are not wealthy of the equal means to enjoy, quote, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, end quote. The lien law in favor of the landlords against tenants, ellipse, is one illustration among innumerable others. This is chapter 11, titled Robber Barons and Rebels.
Hey, and if y'all watch Kyle Kalinske, he's been talking about the robber barons for a long, long time.
Yeah.
All right, quick question regarding
Yes, ma'am.
fish.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we loving that?
What am I looking at?
Well,
the color of the fins. Oh my gosh, yes, it's wonderful.
And the interior of the fish. Now, what do
Now, how are you? I do have a question here on the, because that one fish is slightly overlapping the other.
I know. I was thinking about that too. Because I was going to cut them apart. That was the thing. That's why she was asking about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep them together.
I think that's.
But I want to color them first because it's going to be a heck of a lot easier than messing with them.
Absolutely. Always color first before cutting.
But the question is now, what do I make the bottom fish? Do I kind of reverse it out to where I make? But see, then if I do pink fins there, then
you're going to have to where's your overlapping? Turn around so I can look up here. Never mind. Okay. I say maybe go with some more yellow.
Okay.
And lime green, maybe.
Okay. I like that. See, I wasn't even really thinking.
Yellow, lime green, and maybe even bring in some orange.
Well, I was going with the orange, but I think what I'll do with the orange
Because I think where it's overlapping there, you've got to have some
Yeah,
color contrast.
I'm going to go in with the yellow over this. And I'm using the alcohol inks first, just mainly for time's sake.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
And the whole thing about this is that you must understand, this isn't an outlier, the robber barons and rebels. It has always been with the consent and permission of our government and those elected officials to our government. They weren't just out there doing their own thing on their own.
Yeah.
Never has that happened. In the year 1877, the signals were given for the rest of the century. The black would be put back on. The black would be put back. The strikes of white workers would not be tolerated. The industrial and political elites of North and South would take hold of the country and organize the greatest march of economic growth in human history. They would do it with the aid of and at the expense of black labor, white labor, Chinese labor, European immigrant labor, female labor, rewarding them differently by race, sex, national origin, and social class in such a way as to create separate levels of oppression, a skillful terracing to stabilize the pyramid of wealth. One more way of saying a class society. Okay. Now, I'm
I think you're putting out enough that we're,
You can go ahead. You can read the rest of that there, and then at the top of page 254, I have $3 up there because that's the impetus. That's who has the power. I keep telling you that it is the corporations. It is the big companies. It is the hugely wealthy people who are running our country and have since its inception, since, these four yahoos got together and wrote it. Who do you think they were? They weren't
yahoos.
Shoemakers.
They weren't making shoes.
They weren't making shoes, nor were they working in a factory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not saying they were bad people. I'm just saying, let's just be real.
Right. Their motivation.
Yeah, their motivation was to help their white peers.
Yes. And even if they had good intentions on, helping others, you have to understand that, we as human beings tend to say, hey, what is good for me? And then maybe I'm gonna,
Yeah, if I got any left over, I include some of those other,
That's the
those other guys over there. Yeah, they ain't part of the family. While some multimillionaires started in poverty, most did not. That old pull yourself up by your bootstraps bull crap. A study of the origins of 303 textile, railroad, and steel executives of the 1870s showed that 90%, ladies and gentlemen, 90% came from middle or upper class families. The Horatio Alger stories of rags to riches were true for a few men, but mostly a myth, and a useful myth for control.
And I would say that's still true to this day. Now, not necessarily, but this is also why generational wealth, which is very important, Brad and I would not be where we are at had it not been for our parents and the advantages that they had. They would not be where they were at had it not been for their parents and where they were at.
Yes. Most of the fortune building was done legally with the collaboration of the government and the courts. Sometimes the collaboration had to be paid for, dadgummit. Thomas Edison promised New Jersey politicians $1,000 each in return for favorable legislation. Daniel Drew and Jay Gould,
that's not a very
look
good
those
name.
people up, spent $1 million, and back in the day, that was a lot of money.
A lot of money.
To bribe New York legislator to legalize their issue of $8 million in watered stock not representing real value, on the Erie Railroad. The first transcontinental railroad was built with the blood, sweat, politics, and thievery out of the meeting of the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railroads. The Central Pacific started on the West Coast going east. It spent $200,000 in Washington on bribes to get 9 million acres of free land, didn't pay a cent for, $24 million in bonds, and paid $79 million, an overpayment of $36 million, to a construction company which really was its own, and paying themselves, basically. The construction was done by 3,000 Irish and 10,000 Chinese over a period of 4 years. So we like those immigrants, when we can get them out there to do assholes and elbows. But as soon as we're finished with their project, they can all go back home or go wherever, whatever. We don't care.
Also interesting.
And their pay was $2 a day. And that was top price. Anywhere from $1 to $2 a day. The Union Pacific started in Nebraska going west. It had been given 12 million acres of free land and 27 million in government bonds. Shares were sold cheaply to congressmen to prevent investigation into their little shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
There was no difficulty in getting men to look after their own property. Quote from Massachusetts Congressman Oakes Ames. He manufactured shovels. I guess they used those on the building of the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there was some kind of thing there. Both railroads used longer twisting routes to get subsidies from towns they went through. In 1869, amid music and speeches, the two crooked lines met in Utah. Remember when they pounded that gold stake into the thing?
Is that where that was at?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just know somewhere. Yeah, I remember watching some movie about it. The wild fraud on the railroads led to more control of railroad finances by bankers who wanted more stability. Profit by law rather than by theft. Just didn't look good. Sorry, itchy nose. By the 1890s, most of the country's railway mileage was concentrated in 6 huge systems. 4 of these were completely or partially controlled by the House of Morgan, as in JP.
Yes, and this is a great, so Eddie says in the chat, he says, the so-called welfare queens really are the corporations.
Yes. They're the ones who get all the money, but they don't want anybody to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great little story here. During the Civil War, J.P. Morgan, I don't know who J.P. is, son of a banker who began selling stocks for the railroads for good commissions. During the Civil War, he bought, this is the original dude, 5,000 rifles for $3.50 each from an army arsenal, and sold them to a general in the field for $22 each. Somebody out there with good math skills can figure out the
conversion or the
profit margin there. Yeah. The rifles were defective and would shoot the thumbs off the soldiers using them. But a congressional committee noted this in small print of an obscure report, but a federal judge upheld the deal as a fulfillment of a valid legal contract. Oh, and here, our Bone Spur president. Morgan had escaped military service in the Civil War by paying $300 to a substitute. And actually, this was something that was quite acceptable, socially and legally. So did J.D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, Philip Armour, Jay Gould, and James Mellon. Mellon's father had written to him that, quote, a man may be a patriot without risking his own life or sacrificing his health. There are plenty lives less valuable. There are plenty lives less valuable.
That says it all right there about their, self-justification.
Self-justification. Okay.
I'm going to make this fish orange.
Oh.
Here, look.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. Fabulous. I love me some lime green and orange.
Yeah.
There was a human cost to this exciting story of financial ingenuity. That year, 1889, records of the Interstate Commerce Commission showed that 22,000 railroad workers were killed or injured. I would say that probably is a very low. Yes. In 1895, the gold reserves of the United States was depleted, while 26 New York State banks had $129 million in gold in their vaults. And this is all this, with the, okay. Now we're getting over here to monopolies. Okay. Okay, I need to preface this.
What you preface?
A journalist wrote, if a man wants to buy beef, he must go to the butcher. If Mr. Cleveland, and they're talking about President Grover Cleveland, remember the fat dude with the vest?
Remember that guy?
If Mr. Cleveland wants much gold, he must go to the big banker. This is our government going to the banks. Yeah, for the gold standard. And then talking about, all of these. Okay, all of these people are in the process of gaining control of all of the financial institutions, the railroads, the banks, and buying politicians in the process. Oh, and the other one was oil, because that Standard Oil is owned by J.D. Rockefeller. Okay, Standard Oil began back in the 1800s. One independent refiner said, if we do not sell out, we would be crushed out. There was only one buyer on the market, and we had to sell at their terms. What do you think is happening right now with our entertainment, with our news, with our... look at the book publishers, how many there used to be and how many there are now. It says something. Go out and buy this book while you still can.
Oh, that's looking fat. Look at that.
I'm waiting to see it up there.
Oh, it looks even kind of cool from the backside.
It is looking kind of cool. Why is there an extra little thing out there in the middle?
What do you mean, a little extra thing out in the middle?
Of mine. I have an extra window. It's blocking. Well, just come over here and look. It's right.
Oh, I know what's happening. Your mouse was over the thing.
Oh. Okay, I moved it.
Got it?
I got it.
Okay.
It's going, well, that's irritating.
That's irritating.
This new upgrade business is not
I am not
making me very happy. Okay,
funny.
so now here we go with good old.
All right, and just welcome to everybody that's come in. Do say hello in the chat so we can say hello back. I know I've missed a bunch of folks, and just give me some pinky hands, and I'll try to kind of pop in there. Like it, please, like it, love it, share it. Are y'all enjoying this?
Yeah.
Me coloring basically.
Memos like this one passed among Standard Oil officials.
And
Quote,
reading.
Wilkerson and Company received car of oil Monday 13th. Please turn another screw. A rival refinery in Buffalo was rocked by a small explosion arranged by Standard Oil officials with the refinery's chief mechanic. Standard Oil Company by 1899 was a holding company, which controlled the stock of many other companies. The capital was $110 million. Now, back in those days, $110 million, that was a lot of money now. The profit was $45 million a year.
In those times.
Yes.
That's still a lot even now.
And John D. Rockefeller's fortune was estimated at $200 million.
We'd take that.
Before long, he would move into iron, copper, coal, shipping, and banking, Chase Manhattan Bank. Profits would be $81 million a year, and the Rockefeller fortune would total $2 billion. Okay. That's Rockefeller. Now let's go on to Andrew Carnegie. He was a telegraph clerk at 17, then secretary to the head of the Pennsylvania Railroad, then broker in Wall Street selling railroad bonds for huge commissions, and was soon a millionaire. He went to London in 1872, saw the new Bessemer method of producing steel, and returned to the United States to build a $1 million steel plant. Foreign competition was kept high by a high tariff conveniently set by Congress. And by 1880, Carnegie was producing 10,000 tons of steel a month, making $1.5 million a year in profit. By 1900, he was making $40 million a year.
Oh, this is A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn.
And there's some people out there writing books about saying that this is just BS, that it isn't true. But what I love about this book is not only does he have it indexed so that you can find things if you don't want to read everything. I love that.
Yeah.
But he has his footnotes by chapter in here on his original what do you call it? Where he got his information. I can't think of the word right now. His research documentation. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see here. Foreign competition was kept out, blah, 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 blah. By 1900, okay, and then at that year, at a dinner party, he agreed to sell his steel company to J.P. Morgan. He scribbled the price on a note, $492 million. Morgan, JP said, okay. Morgan then formed the U.S. Steel Corporation, combining Carnegie's corporation with others. He sold stocks and bonds for about $40 million more than the combined worth of the companies, and took the fee of $150 million for arranging the consolidation. Finder's fee. How could dividends be paid to all those stockholders and bondholders? Oh, well, let's just see here. By making sure Congress passed tariffs keeping out foreign steel. By closing off competition and maintaining the price at $28 a ton. And by working 200,000 men 12 hours a day for wages that barely kept their families alive. And so it went, industry after industry, shrewd, efficient businessmen building empires, choking out competition, maintaining high prices, and keeping wages low using government subsidies. There's the freaking welfare queens.
Yeah.
Right there, ladies and gentlemen. And then somehow or other, villainize people for being poor and needing government handouts. The audacity of them to asking something like that, Holy cow. These industries were the first beneficiaries of the welfare state. By the turn of the century, American Telephone and Telegraph had a monopoly on the nation's telephone system, AT&T. International Harvester. We never liked them. We always bought John Deere.
There's been discussions about that here in these chats before.
Oh, really?
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It's been a little while.
Made 85% of all farm machinery and every other industry resources became concentrated and controlled. The banks had so many interests in these monopolies as to create an interlocking network of powerful corporation directors, each of whom sat on the board of all the other corporations.
I think all that still goes on.
Directors, and according to a Senate report of the early 20th century, Morgan at his peak sat on the board of 48 corporations. Rockefeller, on the other hand, only 37.
Do better.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the government of the United States was behaving almost exactly as Karl Marx described a capitalist state, pretending neutrality to maintain order, but serving the interests of the rich. Not that the rich agreed among themselves, they had disputes over policies, but the purpose of the state was to settle upper-class disputes peacefully, control lower-class rebellion, and adopt policies that would further the long-range stability of the system that they already had there. The arrangement between Democrats and Republicans to elect Rutherford Hayes in 1877 set the tone. Whether Democrats or Republicans won, national policy would not change in any important way. And to some extent, I feel like that's kind of where we are right now. When I heard the other day that Joe Biden was one of the senators interviewing Anita Hill when she said that Clarence Thomas sexually accosted her, or what did I say? What do I want to say? I don't know that there was actually any touch involved, but it was lewd comments and that sort of thing. But he refused to allow the people she had lined up to testify to verify her testimony. He said that it wasn't happening. And he even had the audacity to apologize to her later, so that tells you something, I guess. I don't know. When Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, ran for president in 1884, the general impression of the country was that he opposed the power of monopolies and corporations, and the Republican Party, whose candidate was James Blaine, stood for the wealthy. But when Cleveland defeated Blaine, Jay Gould, remember him, wired him, quote, "I feel, ellipse, that the vast business interests of the country will be entirely safe in your hands." And he was right. Cleveland himself assured industrialists that his election should not frighten them. Quote, "No harm," this is from Grover, "no harm shall come to any business interest as a result of administrative policy so long as I am president." Ellipse. A transfer of executive control from one party to another does not mean any serious disturbance of existing conditions. And I would say that holds true to today. We've changed regimes, but I don't know that we've necessarily changed the business model.
No.
All right, you can read about the rest of that, blah, 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 blah. And over here, I just, I wanted to read this, and I might go, because this is where all of these philanthropists who had all this, put little itty bitty parts of their money into universities named after them,
Yeah.
Carnegie Mellon, Stanford, all of those.
By the way, the reason I'm being very careful about cutting a lot of this out the way that I am is because I want to use
all those,
little parts. So that's why I'm being a little extra careful, because I'm sure some of y'all are like, good gosh, why don't you just... But I want to keep everything intact as much as I can, because I may, stack it in the way that, so it's still part of, it honors the design. But we're going to change it up
Excellent.
a little. Yeah.
Okay. So, Yes, philanthropy. I'll read you that quote. All right. So here is a sampling, and this was from Russell Conwell, a graduate of Yale Law School, a minister and author of the best-selling books. Gave the same lecture, Acres of Diamonds, more than 500,000 times to audiences around the country, reaching several million people in all. His message was that anyone could get rich if they tried hard enough. That everything, if people looked closely enough, were acres of diamonds. Here's
plenty of those folks
sampling of this regurgitative matter.
Yeah.
I say that you ought to get rich, and it is your duty to get rich. The men who get rich may be the most honest men you find in the country. Let me say here clearly, and I wrote that down someplace. I hear it all the time. Let me be clear. If I hear one more person say that, I'm just going to hurl.
I know, and even some of the people I really like watching.
I want them to stop saying that.
Yeah.
Let me say here clearly, 98 out of 100 of the rich men of America are honest. 98. There's only 2 that, are slightly crooked. That is why they are rich. That is why they are trusted with money.
Flip that.
That is why they carry on great enterprises and find plenty of people to work with them. It is because they are honest men. I sympathize with the poor, but the number of poor who are to be sympathized with is very small. To sympathize with a man whom God has punished for his sin is to do wrong. Let us remember, there is not a poor person in the United States who was not made poor by his own shortcomings.
Bull cocky nonsense.
Oh, but see, look, yeah, I don't know how much they paid him. These other guys paid him to go out and, put forth that.
Bull cocky nonsense.
Yeah. The rich giving. Okay. Conwell was a founder of Temple University. Rockwell was a donor to colleges all over the country and helped found the University of Chicago. Huntington of the Central Pacific gave money to 2 Negro colleges. Oh, bless his heart. Hampton Institute and Tuskegee. Carnegie gave money to colleges and 2 libraries. Johns Hopkins was founded by a millionaire merchant and millionaires Cornelius Vanderbilt, Ezra Cornell. James Duke and Leland Stanford created universities in their own name. The rich, giving part of their enormous earnings in this way, became known as philanthropists. They even got a name for it.
They're like, well, we got to tell people, that what we're doing is
yeah. These educational institutes did not encourage dissent. They trained the middleman of the American system. The teachers, doctors, lawyers, administrators, engineers, technicians, and politicians, those who would be paid to keep the system going, to be loyal buffers against trouble. And just look at what's happening with those professors that dare speak out against things that the university.
And just FYI, I know it doesn't, it gets real hooty-doo in the news about like when things are happening to them, but a majority of them win their cases and are back or,
Yeah, but we don't hear a lot about that.
We don't stick around for that information.
No. In the meantime, the spread, it's kind of like a disease, of public school education enabled the learning of writing, reading, and arithmetic for a whole generation of workers, skilled and unskilled, who could be the literate labor force of the new industrial age. They had to read how to use the machines. I'm editorializing here.
Yes.
It was important that these people learn obedience to authority.
Good gosh. Does it really? Like, that's how they said that?
Yes. A journalist observer of the schools of the 1890s wrote, quote, "The unkindly spirit of the teacher is strikingly apparent. The pupils, being completely subjugated to her will, are silent and motionless. The spiritual atmosphere of the classroom is damp and chilly." Back in 1859, the desire for mill owners in the town of Lowell, Massachusetts, and keep that in mind, y'all are about that. Their workers be educated was explained by the secretary of the Massachusetts Board of Education. Okay, this is direct quotation. The owners of factories are more concerned than other classes and interests in the intelligence of their labors. Boy, bend over and let me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the latter are well educated and the former are disposed to deal justly, controversies and strikes can never occur. Nor can the minds of the masses be prejudiced by demagogues and controlled by temporary and factious considerations. Joel Spring, in his book, Education and the Rise of the Corporate State, says, the development of factory-like system in the 19th century schoolroom was not accidental. Well, of course it wasn't. This continued in the 20th century when William Bagley's Classroom Management became a standard teacher training text, reprinted 30 times. Bagley said, quote, one who studies educational theory aright can see in the mechanical routine of the classroom the educative forces that are slowly transforming the child from a little savage into a creature of law and order fit for the life of civilized society. Well, we're hoping to keep that little savage, feral.
Our baby's doing pretty good about all that.
Yeah, I think she's a champion. She'll take on the best of them.
She will. She says, Papa.
That's one of the reasons that when she is ever so slightly sassy to me, I'm just like, I am not squashing that because, baby, I want her to do that out there in the world. We need to have her out there in the world doing that. We're not going to have to worry about it. Somebody's going to slap her down. It ain't going to be me.
Right. And actually, I think, at that point, then she's going to have enough in her that it's like, oh, excuse me, what?
Yes. It's a good Jewish word.
I didn't have, my personality, though, is so much different than hers. Like, even as a kid, I didn't.
Yes. Mariah was never, she was a watcher. I will say that because we had this woman working for us, just a little aside here as we go on, because working for us when we had the greenhouse, and that's when Mariah was born, when we owned a greenhouse in Denver, Colorado.
Okay, we may be changing our fish's location.
And she held Mariah and looked into her eyes and said, she is an old soul. And, I don't know. I think that is something that you can say. All right, where are we here? Back to, yes, it was the middle and late 19th century that high schools developed as aids to the industrial system. The history was widely required in the curriculum to foster patriotism. Loyalty oaths, teacher certification, and requirement of citizenship were introduced to control both the educational and political quality of teachers. Also in the latter part of the century, school officials, not teachers, were given control over textbooks. Well, that hasn't changed much. I mean, who was that woman that we had in there?
Oh, hey, by the way, y'all,
early on.
Just made me think about it. No Kings 3, March 28th. Also, The Bulwark is coming to Dallas.
They are.
March 18th.
Where are they going to be?
Well, it'll be downtown.
Oh, God. And this is where I really wish they had, that was one of the things about getting around in Baltimore and Washington, D.C. You can get anywhere on a train. You might have to walk a block or two.
Yeah.
But you can catch a train to go wherever you want it to go. We don't have that here.
I'm trying to figure out a page for our fish. Their original one, I don't.
I'm kind of liking that. Put them down there and see what.
But see, this is the other thing.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to separate them. I'm sorry.
You think so?
And here's the thought. Remember the clamshell I was telling you about? that part of the fish that you cut out for the other one, can be covered up by a clamshell.
Well, or I can bring one of the, because I've got, Carrie's little, that kind of thing. So I could just cover up where we cut.
I really think that's going to work, because I just do not see this happening any other way.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And you may not even be able to, you may want to keep them, use one fish somewhere and another one somewhere else. Because they are quite large.
They are. They got a presence. Yeah. They're making a scene.
Yeah. Okay. Laws proposed by states barred certain kinds of textbooks. Texas is really wonderful. We used to have, remember her? She was an atheist, but she used to get on their case all the time because Texas endorses textbooks en masse. Mm-hmm. And that in California and Texas are the two big states that do that. And I don't know, maybe there are others, but I know. And I did not like the textbook that they had picked out for me. And I told my principal, I said, I don't like it. It does not work for how I teach. He says, well, you've got to have a textbook. I said, fine, I'll find my own. I will do the research and I will find one that I like. And the reason they liked it done to get the state's version is because there was a subsidy. They paid part of the cost mm-hmm. of the textbook. But if you went ahead and got them outside of their network, you had to pay for them. I said, I want nothing. I said, I don't need a copy for every single kid. I just need a classroom set. That's all I need. Yeah. Because they're not going to be taking them out anywhere. Or if they do, they're going to check them out for me and I'll bring them back. I mean, very rarely do I even use it. I mean, stupid. Idaho and Montana, for instance.
You're like, by the way, I'm a teacher.
Forbade textbooks propagating political doctrines, and the Dakota Territory ruled that school libraries could not have partisan political pamphlets or books. Okay. Well, a whole bunch more about education here, and we're going to get it. I don't know that we'll get into Anthony's today, but I want to.
Well, you promised us that.
I know, but I'm trying to go fast here. But you can see my little.
We got an hour.
Got my little things here. I know, but I've got 5 more.
Okay.
Pass it, just mark.
Anthony, you can call her a liar.
This is talking about the populist movement, and when they say that Trump was a populist, I disagree 100%. At least half the population didn't like him from the get-go. They just didn't get off their duff and go vote.
Yeah.
But, he was not a populist. Only in the...
Well, yeah. But in his... It's such a weird thing because some of his language certainly is and has been and was. But if you really listen, and this is where understanding the history of it, you go, oh, that's what that's where this is really going. And that's why you're saying what you're saying.
Okay. During this interim here between 1890 was the year of the massacre of Wounded Knee, where over 300 men, women, and children were shot and murdered by cavalry. They weren't even doing anything. I mean, most of them weren't practically starving to death. There was little resistance because they were too weak. So we don't have a real proud history there. No. Okay. It was a time, as election times have often been in the United States, to consolidate the system after years of protest and rebellion. This is when the populist movement they gave up their power to the Democrats, and the Democrats shat upon them. The black was being kept under control in the South. The Indians were being driven off the Western Plains for good. On a cold winter day in 1890, U.S. Army soldiers attacked Indians camped at Wounded Knee, South Dakota, and killed 300 men, women, and children. It was the climax to 400 years of violence that began with Christopher Columbus establishing that this continent belonged to white men. But only to certain white men, because it was clear by 1896 that the state stood ready to crush labor strikes by the law if possible, by force if necessary, and where threatening a mass movement developed, the two-party system stood ready to send out one of its columns to surround that movement and drain it of its vitality. And always, as a way of drowning class resentment in a flood of slogans for national unity, there was patriotism. McKinley had said, in a rare rhetorical connection between money and flag, "This year is going to be a year of patriotism and devotion to country. I am glad to know that the people in every part of the country mean to be devoted to one flag, the glorious stars and stripes, and the people of this country mean to maintain the financial honor of the country as sacredly as they maintain the honor of the flag." The supreme act of patriotism was war. 2 years after McKinley became president, the United States declared war on Spain, and that is why I will never call Mount Denali McKinley. Okay, the empire and the people, this is for another day. On a little bit of an upper note here, I wanted to read you this poem here by a young person. Because, they used to have what was called the Indian schools. They would take the kids away from their parents and send them to a boarding school. And there's one right downtown Santa Fe. And it has a beautiful sculpture. I can't tell you who it's by, but it's a metal horse that has. Mm-hmm. And this was from a fifth-year group in a special Navajo program in the year 1940. It's called "It Is Not." The Navajo Reservation, a lonesome place? It is not. The skies are sunny, clear blue, or gray with rain. Each day is gay in nature's way. It is not a lonesome place at all. A Navajo house, shabby and small? It is not. Inside there's love, good laughter, and big talk. But best, it's home. With an open door and room for all, a castle could have no more. That's a little boy who was drug out of his house and put into some institutional situation. And I'm sure the teachers there were very compassionate and caring and give rat's ass about anything.
Are you talking about the little boy here recently?
I'm talking about this one who...
I was going to say, because...
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to get back because this is really important. This is really important to us right now. I mean, not that that isn't. That is. We must remember where we are right now. We've gone through just different reactions, and I think more to lose. We've lost, but right now we are at the point.
Wait, hold on.
Are we buffering?
Yeah. See, it says we're still connected over here, but Because what'll happen is, like, all of a sudden, this is why I say it's definitely like a YouTube thing, because all of a sudden the viewership goes up. So I don't know if it's just, you know, nefarious things. I don't dare say the, you know, the word or anything. And so then it does the weird thing, and then also
are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, we're back. And here's a quote by Bruce Willis. I made fun of Bruce Willis the other day, but I'm taking a whole different view on Bruce.
He's a cool dude.
You can't undo the past. You certainly don't have to repeat it. Well, I'm afraid we haven't got that quite yet.
Well, and part of the problem with that is that people are just like, they are revising.
Well, always. And this is where I say, question everything. I'm even questioning these things in this book, and I'm looking them up. I'm finding out that this is true from multiple sources. And when I can go to even here, and you shouldn't always even trust the bibliography here and all of these things. Look them up again. Don't take anything for face value, because it's and this is why right now this is important. I'm reading you about what happened during the Nixon thing, because prosecute, no pardons. I want the trial. I want to see everything.
Yeah.
Because that's where we screwed up with Nixon.
Yep. Well,
if we had gone through the trial process with Nixon, we would have learned a whole lot of things.
Well, even back during after the Civil War, if we would have prosecuted people and actually done, rather than just sending folks home and saying, okay, you know,
yeah, all is well.
All is well.
All is well.
All was not well. So,
and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for not having these trials. And I can just about guarantee you, Trump will not spend one day in prison.
No.
He will not have a trial. And the reason he won't is because the big corporations have already decided that it would not be to their advantage for that to happen. So you can just, and we've already bought the Supreme Court. Okay. So the whole thing with Nixon, and it took years for this to happen, which I didn't really remember that. Okay.
Well, you know, back then you didn't have the access to the information. Like,
yeah.
It isn't as like what it is now, which also the amount of information is also why it's hard to truly like dig through and make sure what you are receiving is indeed good information.
Yes. Valid, truthful to the extent that it can be documented from many different, verified and documented. All right, so here we are, and this is we've gone through the whole thing of going through getting the grand jury together, yada, yada, yada. Okay, what followed the next year after, excuse me, I'm gonna do a little nose blowing here.
Oh, goodness.
I promise
she's not going to be dainty about it, y'all. Oh, that was actually, yeah, all right.
A grand jury in September indicted the Watergate burglars, plus Howard Hunt and G. Gordon Liddy. Was that one after another, lesser officials of the Nixon administration, fearing prosecution, began to talk. They gave information in judicial proceedings not to a Senate investigating committee to the press. They implicated not only John Mitchell, but Robert Haldeman, John Ehrlichman, Nixon's highest White House aides, and finally, Richard Nixon himself. In not only the Watergate burglaries, but a whole series of illegal actions, and I'm going to talk about those in a minute. Actions against political opponents and anti-war activists. Oh, he hated that. He hated that more than anything. And this is where Nixon said, if we can get control of the press, we can write our own ticket. I'm telling you right now.
Mm-hmm.
CNN, NBC, ABC. Look at those. And who's the woman and her husband that went down and kissed Donald's ring? And I like to say they kissed another part of his anatomy with their
Well, they're back on,
brown lips.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Mika.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't
trust that whole situation.
I didn't like him because he interrupted her constantly, and she acquiesced, and I'm just did, like, come on, girl.
Tell him to
grab some balls there. Okay, Nixon and his aides lied again and again and tried to cover up their involvement. Okay, number one. Now, these are the facts that came out in these various testimonies. Number one, Attorney General John Mitchell controlled a secret fund of $350,000 to $700,000 to be used against the Democratic Party for forging letters, leaking false news to the press, and stealing campaign files. Number two, Gulf Oil Corporation, ITT, International Telephone and Telegraph, American Airlines, and other huge American corporations had made illegal contributions running into millions of dollars to the Nixon campaign. 3. In September of 1971, shortly after the New York Times printed Daniel Ellsberg's copy of the top secret Pentagon Papers, and the administration planned and carried out, Howard Hunt and Gordon Liddy themselves doing it, the burglary of the office of Ellsberg's psychiatrist looking for Ellsberg's records. Number 4, after the Watergate burglars were caught, Nixon secretly pledged to give them executive clemency if they were imprisoned and suggested that up to $1 million be given them to keep them quiet. In fact, $450,000 was given to them on Ehrlichman's orders. Nixon's nominee for the FBI, poor old J. Edgar Hoover had recently died, bless his heart, Patrick Gray, revealed that he had turned over the FBI records to the investigations of the Waterberg burglary to Nixon's legal assistant, John Dean, and Attorney General Richard Kleindienst. I've never heard of this person, but I can't remember what his... he only had to spend a month in jail, I think, and have a small fine. Anyway, Mitchell had just resigned, saying he wanted to pursue his private life. Remember old Martha Mitchell? Yeah, I know she reamed him. Bless her heart. Had ordered him not to discuss Watergate with the Senate Judiciary Committee. Number 6. 2 former members of Nixon's cabinet, John Mitchell and Maurice Stans, were charged with taking $250,000 from a financier named Robert Vesco. Oh, look up Robert Vesco. He was a fine example of a human being. In return for their help with the...
Are you being facetious?
Yes. Exchange Commission investigation of Vesco's activities. It turned out that certain material had disappeared from the FBI files. Material from a series of illegal wiretaps ordered by Henry Kissinger. Oh, no, let me tell you what, he's a piece too. He can't even go to Europe because he will be immediately imprisoned for war crimes.
Well, no, he died. Didn't he die?
Oh, I don't know.
A couple years back or whatever, and then there was a big to-do about it, and then again it was like, hey, don't even pretend like that dude was anything other than not good.
Yeah. Okay, it turned out that certain materials, had disappeared, ordered by Henry Kissinger, placed on the telephones of 4 journalists and 13 government officials, and was in the White House safe at Nixon's advisor, John Ehrlichman. Number 8, one of the Watergate burglars, Bernard Barker, told the Senate committee that he had also been involved in a plan to physically attack Daniel Ellsberg while Ellsberg spoke at an anti-war rally in Washington. Oh, Nixon hated those anti-war people with a passion. A deputy director of the CIA testified that Haldeman and Ehrlichman told him it was Nixon's wish that the CIA tell the FBI not to pursue its investigation beyond the Watergate burglary. Yeah. Almost by accident, a witness told the Senate committee that Richard Nixon had tapes of all his personal conversations and phone conversations at the White House. Nixon at first refused to turn over the tapes. Remember when that happened? I remember that. And when he finally did, they had been tampered with. Oh my goodness, isn't that amazing? 18 and a half minutes of one tape had been erased.
Mm-hmm.
In the midst of all this, Nixon's vice president, I just want you to be making some correlations.
Oh, they are. Y'all.
What's going on
they
now?
Are. Y'all got it.
In the midst of all this, Nixon's vice president, Spiro Agnew, was indicted in Maryland for receiving bribes from Maryland contractors in return for political favors. Imagine that. I'm editorializing.
That name.
Who?
Spiro. I like that name, but
Spiro Agnew.
But you probably don't want to use that anymore.
Nixon appointed Congressman Gerald Ford to take Agnew's place. Remember back when we told that we were changing regimes from Republican to Democrat, and they said, "Oh, don't worry, nothing's going to change." Well, it's kind of the same way happening here. Over $10 million in government money had been used by Nixon on his private homes in San Clemente and Key Biscayne. See, imagine that. Grounds of security. And he had illegally taken, with the aid of a bit of forgery, a $576,000 tax deduction for some of his papers. And isn't it interesting? We've never even seen Trump's tax returns.
Right.
I don't know if he even has to.
Maybe in 2 weeks.
I don't know if he has to make them or not.
Maybe in 2 weeks.
Number 13. It was disclosed that for over a year in 1969 to 1970, the U.S. had engaged in a secret, massive bombing of Cambodia.
Oh, and that.
Horrible pictures, which it kept from the American public and even from Congress. Can you say Venezuela? It was a swift and sudden fall. In November 1972 presidential elections, Nixon and Agnew had won 60% of the popular vote and carried every state except Massachusetts, defeating an anti-war candidate, Senator George McGovern. And what they did to that man was reprehensible behind. He would have been a wonderful president. By June of 1973, a Gallup poll showed 67% of those polled thought Nixon was involved in the Watergate break-in. So see, from 70 and over the period of 1 year. Okay. By the fall of 1973, 8 different resolutions had been introduced to the House of Representatives for the impeachment of Richard Nixon. The following year, a House committee drew up a bill of impeachment to present to the full House. Nixon's advisors told him it would pass the House by the recommended majority and the Senate would vote the necessary 2/3 majority to remove him from office. On August 8th, 1974, Nixon resigned. Now, we'll get into exactly why he resigned rather than, because he was doing it as his patriotic duty. 6 months before Nixon resigned, the business magazine Dunn's Review reported a poll of 300 corporate executives. Almost all had voted for Nixon in 1972. But now a majority said he should resign. Quote, "Right now, 90% of Wall Street would cheer if Nixon resigns," end quote, said a vice president of Merrill Lynch Government Securities. When he did, there was relief in all sectors of the establishment with a capital E. It's my editorializing. Gerald Ford.
I like that you announce your editorializing. That's good for people. I mean, because they'll come back and be like, "Man, there was in
my version.
The flair is really missing."
Gerald Ford. Good old Gerald. God, he was just such a piece. Bless his heart. I don't think he was a bad man. I just think that, I don't know. He was a suit. And I'm not sure there was much in there. Our long national nightmare is over. Newspapers, whether they had been for or against Nixon, liberal or conservative, celebrated the peaceful culmination of the Watergate crisis. The system is working, said a longtime strong critic of the Vietnam War, New York Times columnist Anthony Lewis. The two journalists had had much to do with investigating and exposing Nixon. Carl Bernstein and Robert Woodward of the Washington Post wrote that with Nixon's departure, there might be, quote, restoration. All of this was in a mood of relief, of gratitude. No respectable American newspaper said what was said by Claude Julien, editor of Le Monde Diplomatique, in September 1974. Quote, the elimination of Mr. Richard Nixon leaves intact all the mechanisms and all the false values which permitted the Watergate scandal. End quote. Julia noted that Nixon's Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, would remain at his post. In other words, Nixon's foreign policy would continue. That is to say, Julian wrote, quote, that Washington will continue to support General Pinochet in Chile, look that one up, General Geisel in Brazil, and General Stroessner in Paraguay, etc., etc. Months after Julian wrote this, it was disclosed that top Democrats and Republican leaders in the House of Representatives had given secret assurance to Nixon that if he resigned, they would not support criminal proceedings against him. This is why I have this. Prosecute. No pardons. I want to see the trial.
Yeah.
One of them, the ranking Republican of the Judiciary Committee, said, quote, we had all been shuddering about what 2 weeks of televised floor debates on impeachment would do, how it would tear the country apart and affect foreign policy, end quote. The New York Times articles that reported on Wall Street's hope for Nixon's resignation quoted one of Wall Street's financiers saying that if Nixon resigned, what we will have is the same play with different players. Remember what I read to you earlier about, oh, no worries. Worries. Oh, Grover Cleveland said the same thing. You have nothing to worry about. Okay, I'm going to just move on here. I think you get the gist of that. In the charges brought by the House Committee on Impeachment against Nixon, it seemed clear that the committee did not want to emphasize those elements of his behavior which were found in other precedents and which might be repeated in the future. This was written long before Trump. It stayed clear of Nixon's dealings with powerful corporations. It did not mention the bombing of Cambodia. It concentrated on things peculiar to Nixon, not on fundamental policies continuous among American presidents at home and abroad.
Business as usual.
Business as usual. The word was out. Get rid of Nixon, but keep the system in place. I said, okay, this was Theodore Sorensen, who had been an advisor to President Kennedy, wrote at the time of Watergate. The underlying causes of the gross misconduct in our law enforcement system now being revealed are largely personal, not institutional. Some structural changes are needed. All the rotten apples should be thrown out, but save the barrel. Indeed, the barrel was saved. Nixon's foreign policy remained. The government's connection to corporate interests remained. Ford's closest friends in Washington were corporate lobbyists. Sorry. Oh, they're probably that too. That's one of those L words. Alexander Haig had been one of Nixon's closest advisors who had helped in processing the tapes before turning them over to the public, and who gave the public misinformation about the tapes, was appointed to President Ford to to be head of the armed forces of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. One of Ford's first acts was to pardon Nixon, thus saving him from possible criminal proceedings and allowing him to retire with a huge pension in California.
Business as usual.
The establishment had cleansed itself of a member of the club who had broken the rules, but it took some pains not to treat them too harshly. Those few who received jail sentences got short terms.
Sonia she sent us the mega paper clips.
Thank you for identifying yourself.
Yes.
We love them. I use them all the time. Yes. Those few who received jail sentences got short terms were sent to the most easygoing federal institutions available and were given special privileges not given to ordinary prisoners. Mm-hmm. Can you say just Ghislaine?
Ghislaine.
Yeah, I just want to S her in there. Maxwell.
You want to jizz her?
Yeah. Richard Kleindienst pleaded guilty. He got a $100 fine and 1 month in jail, which was suspended. That Nixon would go, but the powers of the president to do anything he wanted in the name of national security would stay. This was underscored by the Supreme Court decision in July 1974. The court said Nixon had to turn over his White House tapes to the special Watergate prosecutor, but at the same time it affirmed, quote, the confidentiality of presidential communications, which it could not uphold in Nixon's case, but which remained a general principle when the president made a, quote, claim of need to protect military, diplomatic, or sensitive national security issues.
Mm-hmm. CYA.
The televised Senate committee hearings on Watergate stopped suddenly before the subject of corporations was reached. And isn't that interesting?
All right, you got 23 minutes.
Okay. This is the unreported resistance, and we have to say this because I think what is going on right now, we have to understand this isn't something new, and I would have you read about the miners' strikes, the strikes of the and I've got to. I hope I can find that. Is it? It's a quote from Shelley, from the Lowell, Massachusetts women's garment workers. Oh no, I think this was from the New York women's garment workers at the start of the 20th century. And it's from Shelley. Rise like lions after slumber in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep had fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few. Isn't that powerful? Unreported resistance. And I think that this is important because for sure we're not hearing about it. Where's that great big old CNN truck with CNN on the side and that big old fat camera that you can just tell is really heavy and that it's got so big that you can see the CNN written on the side of it?
I will tell you, actually, who you need to be watching. It's a channel called Status Quo. They actually live stream from many of the different locations and when things are happening all over the place. Like, they have people in all the different towns and cities and places. Status Quo is wonderful. They have just recently been brought on by Midas Touch. Again, I don't always love Midas Touch. I think they're a little too sensational at times. I don't always appreciate, I think the facts of the situation speak for themselves.
And I don't think that you have to embellish it with your own little cutesy remarks. Yeah, I agree sometimes.
There's a little too much. Some of it I'm there for. Hey, if you want that kind of thing, but with like who brings the right energy to me, he ain't for everybody. Is Kyle Kalinske. Freaking love him. Secular Talk is his channel. And then his wife is Crystal Ball. Don't always love her. Like, I mean, just I like his energy. Like, I'm sure she probably rolls. He's kind of you know, it's like getting the news from an 8th grader, because he's gonna give you like, and he does voices and things. I appreciate that sometimes, because that's it makes me, it validates my feelings.
Okay, well, I would send you over to Heather Richardson, and
she's legit.
the people at Pivot.
Okay, this is just
Kara Swisher, and I can never remember the dude. And also, I mean, the Midas Touch people like, who's the lawyer?
Michael Popak.
No.
Michael Popak.
Well, Michael Popak, I like him sometimes, but sometimes he's kind of goofy too. I'm talking about the Cohen.
Oh no, they got
over at Cohen.
Oh
the
no,
lawyer over there.
See, you haven't even been on about all that business. Oh no, the Michael Cohen has, and I, you know, like I wanted to believe that he was a changed man.
Oh no, not him. I'm talking about the dude that used to wear suits all the time.
Oh, Brian Tyler.
Tyler. Oh yeah,
BTC.
Michael Cohen is a douchebag, and we knew he was from the get go.
Yeah, and you know.
Yeah, he's a total douche. But who is the lawyer that's on? Mark Elias. Thank you.
Mark Elias, and then you
Mark
also
Elias.
You love Kirshner.
I love Kirshner, and I know he can go on, and he is just so droll. And he tells you the same thing 14 different ways, but sometimes I really like that, especially when you're talking judicial, you know, legalese. Yeah. I don't understand that language. I'm not, you know, I haven't been trained in that. Okay. Now here,
let's... Oh, wait. Which one? Sorry, we're throwing out a bunch of different ones. And Sherry, what?
Ryan Taylor Cohen.
Oh, she might be thinking where she's at in the stream is Kyle Kalinske.
Yeah,
but Secular Talk is his channel. I love him, and I tell you, like he's pulled some things that he's like, see, I told y'all. And at the time, I was kind of like, I don't know that that's true. I don't know if that's really what's going on. But he, you know, his track record's pretty good. And he gets into a lot of the weeds of, you know, what's going on with all the other, like, on the other side of things with the, like, you know, the Nick Fuentes and things of that nature.
I'm trying to find here where it's talking about.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the year, but I know. Wounded, yes. The thing at Wounded Knee, and how the FBI came in and they arrested people, and these people were isolated and kept apart from and surrounded by these forces of soldiery-looking law enforcement people. And when they tried to bring in medicine and food on an airplane, the doctors and the nurses and people who had brought them in were arrested and taken to jail. So, I think that I'm sorry to say that I feel like that's where we're headed with this thing going on in Michigan, Minnesota.
Yeah, one
of the M words. Okay, it talks about unreported resistance, and this is chapter 22. This talks about the and always, if you see a person or a segment of some particular movement being demonized, like the Black Panthers, like the socialists, you need to look further, because there's a reason. They are threatening if you follow the money. Who are they threatening by espousing their points of view, their particular complaints, their observations, their questions? If it is questioning the money people, they will be shut down. Just say it.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to, the last few minutes we've got here.
Yeah, you got 15.
I've got 15 minutes to tell you about a person that we love and
okay. Hey, what do you think about this? And I could glue things down. I'm actually, now I may need to make this pop up a bit more.
I think you need to hold off until I make the clamshell.
We're holding off until the clam.
And I want to.
But I think I'm also going to go ahead and, go around this in white. So carry on, woman. Carry on.
Okay. All right. So this is, see there? Anthony Cody. Oh, sorry.
She keeps forgetting that she doesn't have her. And Anthony, you still got some of those books in your... He put them up on his good God, Etsy. Thank you.
I'm gonna read you some things because all of you don't know who Anthony Cody is.
And I just, before we do end up, kind of because we got 15 minutes here, but y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And I know this was kind of a weird day, but there have been a lot of weird days in this last week. And sometimes, just 10 or 15 minutes at the top of the hour, and we're kind of like, we needed a little more. Plus, this was a great way to art and talk.
Yeah, because I can't talk when I art.
Yeah.
And it's for sure really hard for me to read an art. This is by Diane Ravitch. And Anthony, is Anthony here today?
Anthony was. I don't know if he still is. Anthony, where you at? Where you at?
This book is a record of Anthony Cody's valiant struggle to force the nation's most powerful foundation and richest person to listen to the voice of an experienced teacher. And on the back here, can a teacher like Anthony Cody challenge the wealthiest man in the world? Education reform is a top domestic priority for Bill Gates, who has poured billions of dollars into building an entire industry aligned with his agenda of data-driven reform centered on high-stake tests, educational technology, and market-based competition between schools. Gates sponsored projects like the Common Core, oh God, do we all know about that, to have the support. The Common Core have support of the Department of Education, major corporations, and anytime you have that going on, you should hear a big old blaring siren in the background, the Republican leaders, and they threaten great harm to public education. Cody holds Gates accountable for the impact he has had on our children and schools. He raises disturbing questions about the growing role of corporate philanthropy, such as the Gates Foundation, in public policy and the dangers we face when market forces become central to our education system. This was published in...
Oh, thank you. Karen says she's totally enjoying today. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
See, look, I have he signed it. It says Mariah and Patricia, outstanding teachers with respect and friendship. Anthony Cody. Thank you. This is what Mark Nielsen, a co-founder of Badass Teacher Association, wrote about Anthony's book. Anthony Cody's new book, The Educator and the Oligarch, is a brilliant point-by-point challenge to Bill Gates' role in undermining public education in the United States. What gives the book's resonance and authority is Cody's own experience in grappling with every single issue that Gates raises from the standpoint of an innovative and caring science teacher in an Oakland middle school. But make no mistake about it, this book is also a call to arms against one of the greatest threats to democracy I have seen in my lifetime. Bill Gates' war on public education should alarm not only every American who cares about teaching and learning, but everyone who fears that the concentration of wealth at the top is eroding our best traditions. Anthony Cody gives us all the evidence we need to fight back, not only to save our schools, but to save our country. And I love that we know him. I feel very privileged. Jonathan Kozol, quote, a powerful and important book by one of the most courageous advocates for sanity and simple justice in our public schools. Okay, and here it's he was born and raised in Berkeley, California. Well, that's a good place to start questioning. Anthony attended public schools there and later graduated from UC Berkeley. In 2000, he became one of Oakland's first national board certified teachers and led district-wide efforts to strengthen science education. His blog, Living in Dialogue, was launched in Education Week/Teacher in 2008 and has won numerous awards, including a first place prize from the Education Writers of America in 2013. In 2011, he was one of the organizers of the Save Our Schools March in Washington, D.C. It's our Anthony, which brought more than 5,000 protesters to the nation's capital. In 2013, he joined with Diane Ravitch to found the Network for Public Education. And it's published by Garn Press in New York. And you can sign up for their newspaper. I don't know if newsletter. I don't know if you can still do that. But it's GARN Press. Okay, I've got some notes here. Quotations from teachers. Love this part of the book because the thing about it is we never ask the people who actually know what the hell's going on.
And every time
how to do it.
And every time we talk about this, and each and every time, it's like they never ask us that because many of y'all are teachers, and that also says. I just want to say that the reason we feel like such cool people is because y'all are cool people, and you keep showing up, and it's like, hey. It's just such a privilege to be in such good company.
It really honestly is. And this goes back, I want to say this very quickly because, you know, when we're talking about who the real welfare queens are the corporations and the ultra wealthy because they get money for nothing. They don't pay taxes on their money. And we actually pay them to do what they do.
They're going to, give back and, all that. Who's
yeah.
it, what's it?
Yeah, boy, don't they ever. The thing about it is, if the people who are employing all of us across here would pay us a fair wage, the government wouldn't have to pay us. Just think about that for a minute. Now, that certainly is not something that they want to hear in the higher echelons of.
And that would make the people happy. And it's so crazy because, if the.
And I just really think, okay, here's
because that's all people are asking for.
Yeah, test. Everybody thinks that you can judge how is by the test scores, and that is such bullshit. Melinda Gates began with the question, how do we, and it's a good question, really, how do we know a teacher's making a difference in a student's life?
The newsletter is still going strong, and he says again, are you going to go to that, Anthony? Because we would consider going, because he's talking about the that Network for Public Education in September, on the September 26th in Houston, because we could drive. I'm okay driving places. I'm not getting on there.
Oh, we could meet up. We can go eat and drink and be jolly together.
Well, and we could even maybe stream from there. They're looking for panelists and stuff too. I mean, I don't know, like if they want to talk to YouTubers, but I don't know. That might be kind of fun.
Okay, so this question, that is an excellent and complex question, and this is what Cody is saying. However, when we look at her answer, we find she commits the logical fallacy known as begging the question. The question she begs is what defines great teaching. That is not answered by finding teacher methods associated with higher test scores. Praise the Lord. This question remains hanging over the entire school reform enterprise. Until we answer that question, we are devising complex mechanisms to elevate test scores, assuming this will improve students' lives when this is manifestly unproven. In fact, I would argue that many of the strategies used to boost scores are actually harmful to our students. Right over there. She's a dropout because of this.
She's a dropout out of college.
And I am here to tell you because...
And it was because of that. I was like, I can't do these test things anymore. Like, I thought I was so angry at the fact that they were testing me again at the college level. I'm like, I made it here. Like, can I just take the classes? This is ridiculous. And so finally, that was one of the reasons. It really was that I was just like, I'm just done with this. I'm just going to go live my life and find out, you know, who I am and try to work for some place that I could do art stuff and graphic design. Because I was like, I don't think they weren't teaching it at Texas Tech anyway. The graphic design was all still like art stuff. And I'm like, I already know how to do that. I knew computers were coming. They still they didn't have a program like that. They didn't have anything with there. Computers. Heck, I had done okay, so it was either high school or junior high. It was probably, I was still in junior high. One of the very first at the science fair to enter a computer. It was regarding Benet Mendelbrot, who actually did the fractals. In fact, it is used in our phones today regarding like how like location and things. They use that fractal geometry in order to that helps the technology. I did that. They kicked me. They were like, they didn't even give me any prize or anything. And they were like, because we don't know where to put her.
There wasn't a category.
And it was always like that. Like all throughout any of my moments that could have been really great ones, it was just another like, okay, thanks for playing.
I know. And the costume that she built herself when she was in elementary school and sewed it and put it together. So, but my God, it was so brilliant. I wished I had pictures of that. Yeah. I'm so angry about that. The poster that you made using your own artwork had something to do with fish.
It was the diorama thing.
Yes.
Didn't even place.
Because she did it all by herself. Everything that was on there. And what I was looking at when I went to the thing was, are you kidding me? Really? And we cannot the parent involvement in this? Come on.
Involved because they were going to school themselves.
I was going to school. I mean, I just showed up
anyway
to support her when, she told the PE teacher to F off.
I said no, thank you.
And when Izzy says that, I will be up there supporting her also. Okay, here, let's, until we answer. In fact, I would argue that many of the strategies used to boost test scores are actually harmful to our students. And many dimensions of great teaching are not reflected in test scores. Hallelujah. And are systematically undermined when educators are held accountable for these scores. This should remind us of the crucial need to teach critical thinking in our schools and apply such thinking to the dilemmas we face. I mean, right there. I mean, I have this all outlined here, and okay, I'm going to move on.
Well,
move on.
Okay, and we're like running up on time here, but
okay, are we?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me. All right. And NBC deserved, for differing views. New Haven teacher Matt Presser was one of the winners of an essay contest, and he offered his thoughts. Too often, school reform is something that is happening to our students as opposed to with them or for them. And so many decisions are being made by people in boardrooms, people in the White House, when the real people who know what our students need are the people here today, the people in our classrooms every single day.
Maybe even ask the students, God forbid. I used to say,
my
I don't learn this
high
way.
School students wrote their own lesson plans. Now, I wasn't abdicating my responsibility. What I was doing, I was saying, this is your time to learn what is important to you. We had already covered all the essential elements and principles of art as designated because they did a full, I just had them go through the first 6 weeks. I'm sorry, we're going to go through this, and you're just going to have to suck it up and do it. And then you can do anything, hold the carrot. You can, I'm going to show you how to write your own lesson plan. You should have seen this. Because my principal, I would take in a folder of lesson plans this big. Because every student had written their own lesson plan using the Princeton online model. It was all available on the computer there.
And I was probably a heck of a lot better at doing this stuff on the computer than you were.
They were. I mean, they were the ones that taught me how that they could do it. Yeah. And I can't name names because I don't have her permission, but there was a particular young lady who was very instrumental in all that coming to fruition, and she's a teacher now. Very proud of her. Okay. Here's
She's probably like, I've been writing my own lessons plan since, whatever year that was.
This must have, so this is the interview. This must have seemed a bit ungrateful to Brian Williams because he then asked, we just had Mrs. Gates here. This is a guy, I think the Forbes latest figure is 60 billion. Here's the Gates family spending upwards of 7 billion so far. Haven't broken a sweat yet trying to talk to you guys, ask you questions, including students, asking questions about what's working, what's not working. Do you support their efforts? Do you think it's money well spent? Matt Presser replied, I think it's a shame that we have to rely on philanthropy to support our schools. To make up for an educational debt that has accrued for generations. I think certain communities, especially in urban areas, have been neglected by education for so many years. We have so much to make up for, not just in education, but in housing policy and job discrimination. In so many areas of the country, even those efforts to get more money into our schools, there needs to be more of a holistic approach instead of just something that is thrown at our schools. But perhaps the most potent counterweight to the Gates approach was offered by teacher John Hunter. He said, my first job interview, I asked the supervisor, what should I do? She said, what do you want to do? As a teacher, to be given that kind of open space, that kind of mandate-less position to be in where you can create out of the emptiness. It allowed me to create that kind of template for my students where I would ask them, what would you like to do today? What is your passion? What drives you? If the students have the interest and you build towards that, then they can come with more passion for learning. Those kids loved it. And their self-evaluations were brutal. They were way more. I mean, there's just so much more that I could have learned. But, I just got caught up in this one. I mean, they would say things like, I just got caught up in this one part. Kids taught themselves how to oil paint. I just bought the shit for them. Put it out there, right? And Jeremy said, I can't paint in front of other people. I said, well, let's build you a partition here and you can go back there. That's what he did. He went back behind over there. I suspect sometimes he wasn't painting. He might have been doing other things, but I didn't care.
What happens behind the curtain?
When we came up to the time to do the evaluations, he was right there. Yeah.
And
I hope some of those lesson plans are still on file. No, they probably burn them all.
Well, you should reach out to Kenny.
Oh, well, he wouldn't know. He's not there anymore.
Maybe he saved them and took him with him.
Okay, so here's
maybe he copied them and put them in a book.
I sort of doubt it. He when I asked him, I said, Kenny, why is my name not on the door to my room? It still has Mr. Wade's name on the door. He says, well, we don't know if you're going to be here very long. I said, I think that's
rude.
That is a really rude thing to say. He kind of just laughed. He says, I'll take care of it. Yeah. Okay. Here are the things that I think smaller schools, smaller classes, more teachers. 3 things. Easy.
And pay them.
Easy peasy.
And pay them.
Yeah. Pay them a working wage so that they don't have to work at McDonald's on the weekends. Okay. Robert Orban says, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of working through that right now.
Yeah, we're taking notes, I hope, at this point.
And this whole thing of good cop, bad cop, push for evaluations. My whole thing about that was, in order for it to be a relevant and accurate evaluation, the person doing the evaluating had to know and understand the subject matter. And they did not understand. All of them. I didn't. I did have Mr. My middle school principal. And here's the thing.
Who was that?
Mr. Weissman.
Oh.
Hey, he didn't like me, and I knew he didn't like me because he knew I was an irreverent, I was a loudmouth thorn in his side. But
they homeschooled their kids, which I thought was,
yeah,
that should tell you, like, okay, you're the head of a school, but you don't send your children to the school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, anyway, here's the evaluation that he gave me. He said, "What I watched today, I've never seen before in a classroom where you had immediate feedback." I said, "Sir, we do that all the time in art. I can look at what they're doing to see if they understand what we were supposed to do. And there's so many ways that you can do what I'm asking you to do that they never ever feel marginalized by the assignment." During parents' night, I had them line the board, and some of them were this thick. The chalkboard. I never used the chalkboard. I just put stuff on top of it. Whatever.
It was a taping. It was a
surface for
posters.
Posters and stuff. Oh. So the chalkboard thing was about this wide, right? And so the students, they would do this. They made their own little cards and had their little, and they'd tape their name down below on the thing and put the cards in there so that their parents could look at what they made. And then they would have out, we couldn't have them out on the desks because, I had classes come through, but they would go and get their folder and show their parents. And they were proud of that. That was something that, and the parents were like, holy moly. I had kids come back to me later on and say, this is kind of the same thing I learned at design at college. I said, well, ain't that something?
That's why I also did not do that great at college, because it's like, I've already done these things. Could I please get a pass? I need to go further. I've done these things.
Oh my God, I had her in my class, and it was, and she would raise her hand.
We've done this before.
I would just, yeah. Anyway, okay. Yeah, valuations. Blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Student achievement is always defined by some sort of test performance. Well, here in Texas, the reason tests were so popular is the Bushes, the one boy Bush who couldn't excel at anything else, they gave him the publishing part of their empire. So he... and
they weren't even from Texas. Did you know that?
The Bushes weren't?
No. From New England.
Oh, yeah. I know they had a house up there or something.
No, but that's where they were from. But then they came down here to, partake in all of our, things.
Well, I guess they did
and
it
that
soon enough.
No Child Left Behind was like the biggest bull cocky. That was my era. Like, No Child Left Behind, I was like, I'm feeling pretty left behind.
And I'm telling you, it was.
And then when he got, president, I was like, okay, we're going to do that on a national level. Great.
Isn't that wonderful?
Really well.
Wasn't that wonderful? Okay, here. What do we want? What do we want students to learn?
I guess we're going long today, y'all.
I just have to I have two more. Because
in there.
The whole thing about this whole book is it's look at this. See? References, ladies and gentlemen. References. This is just not, some pull it out of your...
Hey, and not just off of Wikipedia or some other little thing, like actual cited references.
Oh, this is Cody's note that was in there. See, it's in the book, Cody.
Oh, here, Sophia said she came across a great quote today. I think you'll appreciate it. We live in a time where intelligent people are being silenced so that stupid people won't be offended. Who is it, Sophia? Or well, I can Google it, but yeah, that's it in a nutshell for sure. It really is.
Okay, so here's this is part 3. This is, what he thought children should be learning. We don't have 50 different kinds of electrical sockets. We have just one. And that standard unleashed all kinds of innovation that improved lives. The same thing will happen with consistent standards for what students should know. Now, I want you to take this and I want you to remember what we talked about, why the corporations endorse schools. What do you think Bill Gates wants in his
technology?
He wants them to come in and be able to further embellish his empire. He wants them to be prepared to be able to read those tech manuscripts and whatever they do and, write code and
then also
all
have
that
the tax
crap.
write-offs because he was able to probably,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This is what Anthony Cope wrote back to him. Bill Gates is both an engineer and an entrepreneur. He looks at our educational system from the dual lens of an engineer who wants the pieces of this complex system to work together, and from the point of view of a technological entrepreneur who wants to make the system as open as possible to all sorts of technology-based learning systems. Innovation is described in glowing terms as arriving when the educational marketplace has been opened up, when we have common standards from all 50 states. Innovation is not the domain of teachers or students, but of those who are creating the next generation of digital devices. As a classroom teacher, I enjoyed bringing new technology to my students, whether it was a Laserdisc player, computers, or digital video cameras. But these devices were never more than tools. In the educational future Gates is attempting to bring to us, technology has a far more powerful role. One I believe must be questioned. My feeling about it is innovation occurs across all subject matters. At least it needs to be taught in that way. Even if you're teaching history, question and allow that questioning to occur. And we have teachers, I watched it, who were absolutely horrified that their students were asking questions that they didn't know the answer to. And even I know this because it was discussed in the teacher's lounge. At the time, I didn't say anything.
You should have.
It was my first year of teaching, and I did not feel, these were veteran teachers, and I was intimidated by them, quite honestly. I didn't say anything, but in my mind, what I told my students in the classroom. If the teacher cannot tell you why you need to know something, then you need to challenge why she can't. And those teachers could not do that. I said, you ask me anytime why I want you to know something. If I can't give you a good answer for it, maybe we both need to reevaluate what it is that we're learning here. It's that simple.
I tell Izzy's, she's like, well, don't you know everything? I'm like, God, far from it. And I tell her, I'm like, there's going to be things that you know that I don't. And number one, some things that I just don't really care to know.
This is very true.
Because I'm not interested in that.
But I, as the art teacher, I felt like it was my job to make sure children questioned everything.
Yeah.
And I know that those kids can be a pain in the padootie, and the smart ones are always harder to teach. But I love those students, and they loved me because I felt like we were having a one-on-one dialogue here, and I just remember Eric. And Alfonso, a child who I recommended for the gifted program, and he didn't make it because he was a behavior problem in the classroom. But that kid was so gifted, so incredibly gifted, probably one of the most gifted children that I've taught. And lived in the trailer park behind my house. I home visited his house to try to get his parents interested in challenging the system.
Yeah.
And I even after I did that, I felt really bad about doing that because I think I was asking them to do something that was totally out of their realm of
Yeah.
comfort zone. And
All right, my Arty friends.
oh goodness, we've
had
way
some,
over.
Oh yeah, and there have been some really good comments on what we're doing today, and that I don't know. I don't think we're gonna do it like this all the time, but here and there we may just need to have a little deep dive sesh like this. And I very much enjoyed being able to work on my things here. And I've been told that I need a clam, so we're not gonna glue anything down. So just clam it for later.
Oh, we're gonna clam. We'll clam it on. What is today?
Sunday, maybe. I don't know.
We'll clam it on Sunday. I'll have some different clams ready for you, Mariah.
Remember, we got. I'm very hopeful that the launch is happening on Sunday because that's February 1st. But maybe let's just see. Let's not stress ourselves out, people. If it happens, it happens. We may clam on Sunday. Who knows?
Okay. Well,
until then, though.
Love you.
Like a
long haul.
bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging.
Thank you.